Good afternoon, world. This is Jaclyn Tacoronte. I am the host of the award-winning podcast, JMT Media Podcast, and we are here, season 4. And look, y'all, we have had so many amazing guests that have come on these past couple of weeks. Everyone ranging from Forbes and Fortune 500 winners to small business owners, all the way up to award-winning chefs with multiple locations and multiple dreams. And so it is an honor to have this place and space to really talk about having a piece within your business and within your community to continue to help you thrive. So today I actually have an amazing guest, and I'm going to bring her on, Miss Vwanganji Bowa. She's the CEO and founder of Mighty Fin. She's a seasoned professional with over 13 years experience in the microfinance and financial inclusion sector. Her role involves charting an inspiring and challenging course in alignment with the Mighty Fin's mission and vision for providing credit to SMEs, particularly women in emerging markets. Ms. Bowa oversees all department heads, and in 2022, check this out, she is the Women in Tech competition. She's the winner of the Women in Tech competition in Zambia. And in 2023, she is the Fortune's Most Powerful Woman mentee, having had the privilege of being mentored at the New York Stock Exchange. Furthermore, she has earned recognition as the winner for Zambia in the 2023 Multi-Choice Accelerator Program, highlighting her remarkable contribution to Africa's promising and rising tech entrepreneurs. She holds a bachelor's degree in development studies, and she's currently pursuing her master's of gender development at the University of Zambia. Miss Vwanganji, are you there?
I am here, Jaclyn. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is all my pleasure. I am so excited to have you on our podcast. First and foremost, what time is it in Africa where you're at right now?
So I'm in Southern Africa, and it's 4 p.m. right now.
Oh, okay. So just a little before dinner time. Good. I'm glad. Well, first off, thank you so much for joining. I know you're an extremely busy woman. But let's get right into it. I want to talk a little bit about your experience of how you even got into the financial tech industry, because even here in the States, minorities, women as minority, the financial tech industry reflects less than 12% of the minority population. And so I'm very curious to learn more about how you even got involved in that, because I think a lot of times young women can feel like, oh, it's overwhelming, I don't want to get involved. But it's also very empowering. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Thanks a lot, Jaclyn. So I first started my career out in banking, and I worked for a commercial bank for a couple of years. And from there, something entrepreneurial about me started to kick in, and I began my first business as an agropreneur. So basically, I started raising chickens for brown table eggs. And it was through this experience where I came into contact with a lot of women within my community who then did not have any means to either start a business or have a form of livelihood. So I kind of created some kind of network within ourselves where I would be the provider for the eggs, show them the market, a few financial literacy programs here and there, and they would go out to market. And that was very good in trying to help out the community and the women and their children. And it was from there that I began to actually look at the idea of opening a microfinance institution. So like you rightfully said, it is very challenging in such a male-dominated industry for women to actually take up just being in the microfinance space, let alone being in the tech space. So Mighty Finance, we've been operational for the past 3 years now. And thank you. With that, we started on a very manual kind of operation basis. But then due to COVID, we were then forced to pivot and then just go full-blown tech. So we're now a fintech, one of the 3 fintechs in Zambia, offering small loans to women entrepreneurs, women-led and women-owned businesses.
I love that. And, you know, a lot of times I think women entrepreneurs, we lean back on things that we aren't familiar with, or it's something that was not presented to us. But you leaned in and created this, clearly, this hub to help women in financial tech. So, talk to me about the women that you have helped. Like, do you have any success stories or anything like that, in terms of where they started and where their growth is? So I'd love to hear about that.
Sure, very heartwarming and pretty much my passion around that. So we've had a number of women that we've assisted since 2021. I will pick on maybe one or two.
Okay.
I have one particular one who we came across, and she's a housewife, has two children under the age of 5, and has to depend on her husband for her livelihood and everything else. So when she came across Mighty Finance, she had dreams of starting a business. And there's something quite popular within our communities called mobile money transfers. So you literally have a small booth, and people are able to come within the community to transact with you from there. So transact to pay banks, make payments or withdrawals. And she started out with one of those booths, and we helped her to start with that. And within the first year and a half, she had opened up 3 booths, and she was able to take her older child to school. And she's taking her younger child now to kindergarten. And she has been so excited, and that her dream has really come to pass. And she says, I'd like to own 10 more booths around Lusaka City. And we are working with her to actually realize that. So she has been a very remarkable, success story, really portraying how women do have the potential, and when they have the right mentorship, the right access, they're able to actually change their livelihood and be conduits of development within their economy, the communities as well.
I love it. I love that story. So she is flourishing and doing amazing work as well. That's awesome. And I think, I've owned JMT Media. Today's actually our 9th anniversary. So by the time this is announced, people will be like, oh my gosh. But it goes by so fast. You don't realize the people just see the front end, right? They see the triumphs, the awards, the fun stuff. They don't see the behind the scenes, the the struggles, the clarity, the objections, the doors being closed. And
Mhm.
so I found myself working with a lot of young minority women business owners seeking guidance, very similarly to the client that you assisted with, where they're seeking guidance, but they're also seeking how do you have that work-life balance? Because I
Mhm.
myself have 2 children. I have a 8-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And this was their first week of school. And I am not gonna lie, it was a rough one. It was rough every morning. And we're used to doing daycare, the whole thing during the week, but I don't know, just something was different with a new routine, new uniforms. And so I tell folks all the time that a true work-life balance means that you have to have peace within your life and within your home and within your community, because then you can get into your office space, whether you work from home, whether you have an office space like I do, a lease, or you own your own building, whatever the case may be. But you have to have that peace within your place of business, within your home, and within your community. Can you talk a little bit about how you have maintained peace within your place of business, but also within your home and in your community?
Sure. Well, peace for me means a lot of things. And like you rightly, put it, where you're looking at you being an entrepreneur and being a mom and trying to balance all together. For me, it starts with safety. I think if it's going to be at home or within my community, where a peaceful community, a peaceful home is a place that you want to be in, where you don't have any fear of violence or conflict, and it just contributes to your physical and mental well-being. Um, for me, it begins from there, having that peace and calm. And for my business, it's really about opportunity. I feel that, trying to serve women and men who 97% of them contribute to the GDP of our economy is really huge. They employ the masses of the country, and creating an opportunity just gives them, that the peace in the community gives them open doors for more opportunities for them to actually establish businesses, educational institutions, and community programs where they can then build for themselves and thrive. So ideally, it's more like, for me, back when I'm home, I would love this environment that is peaceful, and my the children, my husband, create all that by understanding the kind of role that I then play also within the community in trying to ensure that these opportunities exist, that people can actually leverage them, hone their skills, and be able to be successful, where they are. I also believe that when we have these opportunities and they are created within our businesses or our communities, we also enhance social cohesion. People then come together. They are stronger, they're more resilient. And when we build resilient communities, we're able to succeed and to thrive.
Mm. You are, I never heard the idea of peace, also safety, you know. So I live on the North Shore of Staten Island, and our district attorney, Michael McMahon, he is all about creating safe streets, safe communities for residences, small businesses that are thriving. And I never really thought of it that way. So I'm so glad that that's the whole point. You talk to
Yeah,
people that are not from the same neighborhoods as you, not maybe not the same culture as you, but you get to learn. And so I appreciate you dropping that gem, because that's a huge thing that I think sometimes people take for granted. Um,
certainly.
it could be whether it's peace, whether it's nourishment, and nourishment, not just physical nourishment, but also nourishment for your spirit. And so I think that was just really brilliant what you just said. I appreciate that. Um,
Thank you.
so talk to me about where you're wanting to grow, like in the next 5 to 10 years, because in the 3 years that you've had business, you have now been featured in Forbes, you've been featured in Fortune magazine, you've been in a partnership with the NASDAQ. Like, what? You've done a lot in 3 years. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what you're looking forward to for the next 3 years or the next 5 years?
So for the next 3 years, 5 years, I think that's a little bit more long term. I'm looking to try and, expand our solution, not just within Southern Africa, but more like within emerging markets.
Mm,
I have come to realize that the problems that we face here in Zambia are not just common to us, but they're common to many emerging markets. And the solution that we provide is one that just enables SMEs to access quick, affordable financing. And we know that SMEs are the drivers of many economies across the globe. So we are looking at, entering different markets and ensuring that our presence can actually make differences in the lives of SMEs. So that's the bigger,
big,
broader
big
picture
goal. I
of
love
where
that.
we're seeing
I
ourselves.
love that. Now, for our listeners, can you explain what an SME is?
Ah, I see. So when I was in New York, I actually got a lot of that with the acronyms, and every moment I'm like, okay, so what does that stand for? There's
That's
just
right.
this
Every acronym.
alphabet of acronyms all over the place. Yeah, so SMEs actually stand for small and medium enterprises, which would normally be referred to as small businesses.
Perfect. Perfect. The interesting part is during COVID, right? So there was financial support to help small businesses through this loan called the PPP loan. And so the term small business is literally from one employee to 499 employees. So if you have a franchise, for instance, you would still be considered a small business. So now we're working on helping advocate for a piece of new legislation to call it a micro small business, an MSB. So micro small businesses, as you know, are from 1 employees up to 10, which is the majority of even your top 10 cities, right? New York, Miami, LA, etc. Within those communities themselves, there are tons of micro small businesses. It could be a coffee shop, it could be an auto mechanic shop, it could be a bodega, it could be lots of different things. And so by the time those federal funds were distributed for the small business, they weren't able to apply for them only because if you have employees from 1 to 499 employees, more than likely you have legal counsel, you have multiple accountants on staff, and micro
Yeah.
small businesses, they don't have access to that. And so that's a piece of legislation that I'm actively pursuing to help advocate for small businesses, because I saw it time and time again that a lot of micro small businesses didn't even, by the time the application came out, by the time they got around to doing the application, whether it's 2 or 3 days later, the money had been gone. And so they didn't have a chance to really even apply and to assist, their small business, especially as they were facing challenges during the pandemic. And so, as a small business owner and a SBE, you always want to make sure that you're being proactive for future generations, because it may not be something that will affect me now, but it'll definitely affect generations after me. And so, the backbone of America, I'm sure Africa, is really small businesses and the communities within those small businesses to support them. And even in Texas, where I'm from, and my grandmother, who passed away, is Native American, everything relies on your community sharing resources, sharing information, because that's how the communities continue to grow and thrive. And so, I'm just kind of taking it a step further into the legal realm in the legal realm, to make sure that everybody does have an opportunity to have that financial freedom. I don't even want to say the American dream, but financial freedom to be able to grow and do what they want to do that gives them passion and purpose. So
Sure.
absolutely, absolutely. So my last question to you. So I've been asking all of my guests when we close out their podcast episode. So if there were 2 pieces of advice for you to give any entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be a young entrepreneur, an older entrepreneur. If you could give 2 pieces of advice for any entrepreneur, what would it be?
2 pieces of advice for an entrepreneur. I think number 1 would be passion.
Mm.
If you're going to be an entrepreneur, small or big, you must be passionate about what you do. You must be passionate about the problem. You must be even more passionate about the solution. There are times where we do business because we know how it's done. We know how to do it. But ideally, if you add passion to it, it makes you more resilient. It makes you, better able to stand and face the weather, even whether it's good, whether it's bad. When you have a passion, you then appeal to many people who would be a large network that you can tap from, you can tap into to be able to learn, to grow. And so for me, passion is a really, really big driver. And I would urge any entrepreneur to have that. The second thing would be work-life balance. I think we've talked a lot about this, but I don't think we talk or implement it enough. I'm an entrepreneur, and like you said, the past 3 years, there's so much that has happened. And yes, a lot of people could, see the successes, but like you alluded to earlier on, there have been pitfalls, there have been downtimes, there have been times when I've been completely broken, completely lost, where regulation, whether it's the business operations, everything just comes crumbling in and it's all in your face and there's nothing you can do about it. And that takes a serious toll on one.
Yeah.
So really being able to just identify when you need to stop, to identify when to ask for help, to identify what is it that is best for you. Also be able to say no Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we say yes to everything,
Oh, yeah.
every platform, every program, every interview, everybody who's asking for your help, you just say yes and yes, and it will drain you. So it is very, very important that we take care of ourselves, we take care of our health and our mental health, and passionate with our business, we will be successful entrepreneurs.
Oh my goodness. I am so grateful to have had you on this podcast. You've dropped so many jewels. Um, I don't even know where to begin. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours, but we got to conclude the episode. You have been a real inspiration, not just for myself, and I know for a fact for our listeners and viewers. I wish you nothing but the best of success from over here, small town, Staten Island, to your beautiful home in Africa with the rest of your community. So thank you so much. And for those of you that are tuning in, we will drop information down below in the comments. Stay tuned for another episode of the JMT Media Podcast, Season 4, where we talk all about having peace within your community and within your home to make you thrive as a business owner. Thanks so much and appreciate everything. Have a great
Thank
one.
you. I appreciate. Thank you so much. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye, love.